Europe just cracked the door wide open on chain. The EU stamped approval on EMT, and suddenly tokenization and wholesale bank settlements are a go. We're watching banks and major players get ready to pump billions straight through chains. Tokenization? It just crossed over from buzzword territory into legit working rails. I'm about to unpack what this shift might unleash across the crypto landscape. And yeah, Ripple and XRP are definitely in the spotlight here. I've got mountains of research piled up that I'm going to tear through with you right now so you're fully dialed in. Let's just rip into it. Europe's tokenization market reaches 1.19 billion in 2025 and is projected to hit 4.25 billion by 2033. Wait, hold up. That sounds off. They're saying we'll barely 3x over 8 whole years? Come on. Who's crunching these estimates? Okay, pulling it back together. Regulations and demand for secure digital payments and asset tokenization are driving growth. But real talk here, that's definitely got to be wrong. There's zero chance we're limping to a 3x in 8 years. That's only hitting 4 billion. Tokenization of bonds is moving from experimentation to early scale production in both the EU and globally, with several $1 billion worth of bonds and treasuries already issued on blockchain and rapidly growing institutional infrastructure around them. The new system is forming as a DLT layer that interoperates with today's CSDs, payment rails, and central bank money rather than abruptly replacing them. Market size and growth. Globally, tokenization is estimated to be around $6 billion USD of revenue of 2025 and projected to approach $29 billion USD by 2030. Hang on, so these numbers are tracking revenue, not how much value is actually going to sit on chain. EU regulatory rails for tokenized bonds. EU's DLT pilot regime has been live since 2023, creating a sandbox that lets market infrastructure trade and settle tokenized securities, including bonds, under exemptions of MiFID II and CSDR. The pilot initially runs to 2026, with a possible 3-year extension. The ESMA and the Commission have publicly indicated their interest in making DLT features for permanent and widening eligible instruments. Making DLT features permanent, EU actual tokenized bond activity in 2025 European Bond Tokenization Report tracks about 1.7 billion in tokenized digital bonds issued in 2024 alone, led by deals in Germany, France, Italy, and Luxembourg, and notes that Europe accounts for more than half of global tokenized fixed income issuance volume, and this is about 3 billion 2024. Examples include same Siemens euro-denominator digital bond in Germany's EWPG framework, French and Italian state-linked institutions issuing digital bonds, and platforms such as Clearstream, D7, SWIAT, HSBC, Orion, SDX, and BlockInvest supporting issuance and lifecycle management, settlement, CBDCs, and stablecoins, DLT market infrastructure. The Eurosystem brand wholesale CBDC experiments between May and November 2024, processing over 200 transactions worth about 1.6 billion euros to test interoperability between target services and DLT platforms for security settlement, including digital bonds. Right, so XRP and Ripple have been planted in Europe from day one, chasing institutional deals and the securities angle. What makes it interesting is the XRP ledger's interoperability works like a universal adapter for all these various systems. The European Investment Bank has issued multiple digital bonds, including a €100 million bond in 2025. That settles in wholesale CBDC tokens issued by Banque de France DSL3, demonstrating atomic delivery versus payment in central bank money. Commercial banks are complementing this with the tokenized deposits on-chain cash solutions. For example, HSBC has rolled out a tokenized deposit service in Europe and hosts digital bond issuance on its Orion platform, while Luxembourg positions itself as a hub of such activity, does talk about global tokenized bond and treasury trend outside Europe. Tokenized US Treasuries have surpassed roughly $7 billion in assets under management in 2025, up more than 250% year over year, with nearly 50 products across multiple chains. Large asset managers such as BlackRock, Frank Franklin, Templeton, and Fidelity now run tokenized treasury funds. BlackRock's Build a Fund issued on public blockchain has gathered well over 1.7 to 2 billion and is accepted as collateral for major trading venues, signaling serious integration in mainstream markets. How close are we to the new financial system? Today's reality is a hybrid. Tokenized bonds typically clear through existing CSDs and custodians, Clearstream, Euroclear, 6SIS, etc., while using DLT for issuance, lifecycle events, and sometimes on-chain cash settlement. The full parallel listing of both digital and traditional exchanges, and there's some mention in here about regulatory sandboxes spanning the next 5 to 10 years. Then I stumbled across this post from Watcher Guru. It claims just in EU accelerates plans for digital euro stablecoin with potential rollout on Ethereum and Solana. So naturally I thought, wait, is this even real? Let me fact check this thing. No, this is not accurate to say the digital euro will be on Ethereum Solana. At this stage, it's only being considered amongst multiple options. No final decision has been made. Appreciate that, Watcher Guru. Now, let me show you something here because none of this just appeared overnight. We could dig back years into the archives, but check out this clip where the IMF is discussing it. Take a listen to this.
Thank you so much, Kristalina, for those introductory words. The topic of the panel is the tokenization of the financial system. And of course, being at the International Monetary Fund here, it is the international financial system that we have in mind.
We're really looking at the entire international financial system. Pull up the IMF High Legal Advisory Group on Finance and Technology. Who do you spot in there? Jeremy Allaire from Circle is sitting at that table. DTCC's got their spot. Europeans from every corner showing up. You've got Ripple represented, Monetary Authority of Singapore is there, the IMF itself. Notice who's actually getting invited into the room, yeah? Circle and Ripple aren't lurking outside hoping for scraps. They're inside. They're part of the actual discussions. Honestly, what I wouldn't give to secretly listen in on what goes down in those rooms. Now, look at what Robinhood's been doing. Their growth has been absolutely wild. Robinhood stocks tokenized live in the EU explore 400 stocks. Tokens linked to the US stocks and ETFs getting started for as little as €1. And here's another big development. Securitize gets EU green light, plans to tokenize securities platform on Avalanche. Here's something you need to remember. This was never about one single blockchain taking over everything. Every piece of this tech puzzle has to connect and communicate. Avalanche is going to matter, Stellar is going to matter, XRP, Solana, Ethereum. The whole lineup plays a part in what's building. We need this multi-chain reality. Shoving everything onto one platform, that's just not realistic. Here's the thing though. Imagine if we did put it all on one system and something catastrophic happens to it. The entire market freezes instantly, total shutdown. That single point of failure is exactly why diversification across chains isn't optional. So I've mapped out how Ripple and XRP are connecting across Europe. This should give you some solid reference points for your research and keep you in the loop. Across Europe, Ripple and XRP are now plugged into payments, tokenization, and policy conversation around the digital euro and Mecca, but they are not EU's official rail or CBDC platform. The picture is a mix of live bank payment quarters, early tokenization pilots, XRPL, and advisory roles with CBDC focus groups like the Digital Euro Association, Core Europe UK Payment Rails, Ripple's On Demand. Liquidity is being used or integrated by European banks such as Santander and UK's Base Standard Charter for cross-border corridors, cutting settlement times up to 90% and reducing pre-funded nostril balances. We're working with a banking system built in the 1970s. Huge piles of money are basically frozen in pre-funding reserves all over the planet. What if banks could pull those trillions back and actually use them? Picture the roads, schools, businesses, and innovations that could get funded when all that dormant capital finally gets moving. Ripple has registered Ripple payments in Europe, SA, and Luxembourg, and is pursuing MECA licensing. So a single EU license can pass for XRP-based payment services and RLUSD stablecoin rails across the European bloc. Over 300 banks and payment firms globally on RippleNet, with European names such as Santander. We did talk about that tokenization on the XRPL. In the year a European context, Ripple's 2025 roadmap centers the XRPL multi-purpose tokens for tokenized real-world assets such as bonds, treasury bills, and structured products with institutional partners. Like our UK-regulated digital securities exchange, using XRPL for tokenized assets, Ripple has publicly worked with firms like ARCX and Meld Gold to tokenize gold in the US Treasuries or on the XRP ledger. And these deals are positioned as part of a broader European tokenization push when, and even when, underlying assets are not euro-denominated. Ripple's EVM sidechain line since mid-2025 is explicitly marketed to European, UK institutions as a way to issue programmable real-world assets and DeFi instruments on the XRP ledger, while staying compatible with strong Ethereum tooling. Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin is being framed in European analysis as a building block for institutional DEFI under-collateralized lending. With the exemption that AMICA-compliant Euro stablecoin by Ripple or its partners could mirror this model inside the EU. MiCA distinguishes e-money tokens like regulated Euro stablecoins from other crypto assets, commentary notes, and EMTs will provide 24/7 on-chain Euro liquidity, with XRP acting as a bridge or FX asset. Remember, XRP covers 90% of the FX world right now, and CBDC liquidity is thin. Ripple's decision to base its European payments entity in Luxembourg is tied to MiCA and e-money licensing, positioning it to help European financial institutions issue or integrate compliant stablecoins on the XRP ledger. The Digital Euro Association has Ripple as a supporting partner, meaning Ripple participants and participates in research and discussions about CBDCs and digital euro design, but does not control or operate CBDCs itself. The ECB's Digital Euro project is a multi-year preparation phase, and it's explicitly separate from XRP or any other private token. The ECB is building a sovereign CBDC, while XRP is discussed as a potential cross-border bridge between CBDCs. Europe's probably building their system on different underlying technology, but here's where XRP steps in, bridging all these separate systems across the globe. Analysts highlight Ripple's work on CBC interoperability, where XRP is positioned as a neutral liquidity to settle between the digital euro, UK CBDC, and other national tokens cross-border scenarios rather than domestic CBDCs, along with a few other things we've already gone over. Now here's what you need to recall. The DTCC patent explicitly names XRP and XLM as compatible networks within the modular bridge architecture for liquidity tokenization, defining XRP as fast, low cost, and highly liquid operational infrastructure. We're talking about the DTCC, the entity managing 100 trillion in assets. Your stock transactions in America, they flow through the DTCC for settlement. So when patents for the next generation of financial infrastructure explicitly call out XRP and XLM, you might want to sit up and take notice. We're not in casual territory anymore. XRP utility explosion from ETFs to stablecoins and tokenizations. You've seen this chart from me already. Stead has put together this killer diagram. Up top, you've got the ETF layer, ProShares, Graceline, the heavy hitters. Treasury Links, Ripple itself, Evernorth, Webis, Vivo Power managing logistics flows, XRPL, EVM, Sidechain, XLR, Peer Assist, Companies everywhere connecting into this. Decent's in the mix. Stablecoin tier shows RLUSD, USCC, XSGD, plus that European entry I brought up, Schumann Financial. Yeah, that's it exactly. US, DB, and Real finish the current lineup. Jump ahead half a year to a year though, and watch how crowded this stablecoin section gets. The world's most traded currencies, they'll likely all show up on the XRP ledger because Ripple's infrastructure is becoming the connection point for everything. Tokenized gold deserves attention too. Grab this worthwhile segment about tokenized gold, the direction all this innovation is pointing. Paul Barron's hosting the conversation. Can't place the guest's name, but what he said landed well. Take a listen to this.
The U.S. is working on this right now, and I would tend to agree that that's probably it's at least an idea that's being floated as, hey, how do we get rid of $35 trillion in U.S. denominated debt and move it on to something else? And frankly, using a tokenized real world asset and making gold money again, gold could be made money as easily as a CBDC could. Right. So
you look at Pax Gold or XAUT, any one of those could be directly and that's tokenized. But again, you're talking about Tether, that's a different thing. Versus
that's a weirder trust model. What I think will happen is if you can get the really old people involved, if you can get like Lloyd's and the real ones, but really get like Brinks and StoneX and some of these companies that, hey, we've been around for 700 years and never had a stolen
tokenized gold.
Precisely. Yeah. That allows them to say, look, we get constant audits and attestations. You know how much gold is here. And then it allows you to essentially transact in a sub-cent of gold because you can tokenize down to whatever you need it to be, which actually is bad news for silver, by the way. Because if everybody's going to use gold and you can knock it down to, I can transact in a penny worth of gold, then what's the point of silver? But it allows you.
That goes back to utility for silver. I don't see it as a monetary system. I think it's, you look at the defense system that's being used, AI, the chip architect, all that's silver. And it's all being lost, because it's going to landfills once the price goes away. So
it's crazy.
That's a problem. But okay, so wow, this is a fascinating conversation because we're going in a lot of directions here. But the point being is that we are at what appears to be the true threshold of
this conversation right here. Absolutely incredible. So here's what's happening. The titans of finance and the brilliant people steering those ships are practically drawing us a treasure map. What do we need to do? Get in position, sit tight, and watch the magic happen. Will the market rocket upward? Oh yeah. Will it also drop like a stone sometimes? 100%, because that's the nature of the beast with any fresh market. But listen, everyone who's thinking years ahead instead of weeks, they've basically already claimed victory. The only question mark is which random Tuesday morning you're going to open your eyes, pull up that app, and have this overwhelming moment of, wow, I actually nailed this. Of course, if you're looking for professional guidance, grab a financial advisor who's deep in the crypto world. I'm over here just geeking out about what I believe is coming and how I'm personally setting myself up. But look at this. Larry Fink, the guy running BlackRock, is out here giving us the blueprint all over again. Listen to this.
What do you mean by digital?
I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities to bonds across the board.
It's very loud here.
It's very loud, but it's good. Capital's at work. Right?
You like that?
I love capital at work. Yeah. There's $4.1 trillion of money in city globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize a ETF, and digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start focusing, moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner, and then having people stay in that digital ecosystem They can have their cash. And we have the largest cash money market fund that's tokenized called BITL. Our Bitcoin IBIT is now over $100 billion.
I know from nothing not that long ago.
Around 2 years ago, zero.
Yeah, I know. Well, you weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know.
Yep.
I love it.
But I grow and learn. I heard you say that on 60 Minutes. I did. Yeah. Jim?
So yeah, that pretty much covers everything you need to know about what's happening with Europe, tokenization, CBDCs, and how Ripple and XRP fit into all of this. I really hope you're getting something out of these videos. Honestly, my whole mission here is to turn you into the go-to expert on XRP and crypto among everyone you know. So drop a comment and let me know if that's actually happening for you. Or tell me what I could do better, because I'm always trying to level up my content. If this was helpful, feel free to drop a like, leave a comment, or share it with someone who needs to hear this stuff. Appreciate you spending your time here with me. Seriously, thank you for showing up, and I hope you have an amazing weekend. Catch you in the next one.